Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jackson-Miller. And as always, a very special welcome to our viewers on onespotmedia.com. Well, it's the story of the day. It might be the story of the week or the year, the story of the Petrojam report that was done by the Auditor General. Lots of serious issues coming out. I know people have been asking, why so much talk about this $1,000 cake? You might say the cake might be a metaphor, in fact, for the entire report. But Herman Green, my colleague from TVJ, has been going through the report. And Herman, there's so much in here. It's over 100 pages, but it's a lot.
Yes, 115 pages, and a number of things that jump out at you when you're going through. My colleague and me and myself, Janella, of course, we have been going through it since last night when it was tabled. And it's kind of hard to pick one thing that really jumps out at you because there's so much to jump out at you. But as you say, on social media, persons are talking about those two parties, and in particular, that $1,000 cake.
Okay. I know you did an overview.
Yes, we did. Actually, Janella, first of all, looked at some aspects, firing at Petrojam and how much it actually cost the company. But I also looked in my story during Primetime News, actually looked at some of the details that came out in it, and we can see that now.
The 115-page report highlighted troubling practices which the Auditor General says contributed significantly to Petrojam's $18 billion loss over the past 5 years. Troubling because some had nothing to do with production. It listed two private parties: a surprise birthday party for the board chairman in September 2017, the price tag over $10,000. The other, another surprise party on January 9, 2018, which cost over $11,000. That included a $1,000 cake. Together, both parties cost the company $2.6 million. Both events were held at hotels in Montego Bay. Additionally, the report said the general manager overstepped his authority in authorizing $24 million to hire a consultant for Petrojam's 35th anniversary activities. The report went on to bash the management for no or inadequate oversight of spending. Case in point, the reconstruction of a perimeter fence because of the Marcus Garvey Drive road widening project. It's understood that the National Works Agency had submitted an estimate for the job of $29.8 million. However, that negotiation was aborted and a $96.8 million contract, $67 million more, approved by the general manager with another contractor. It also pointed to drastic increases in the company's donation budget and assistance program for community and educational development. The report noted that the value of donations doubled between 2013-2014 and 2017-2018. The 2017-18 financial year saw the largest increase, totaling $84.2 million compared with $34.9 million in the previous year. It said the process lacked transparency and accountability. It also questioned the recruitment and spending practices of the human resource manager. In a list of case studies, the report noted that the HR manager employed at least two persons, including her sibling, even though they were previously rejected by the interview panel. It said the HR manager also unilaterally engaged the services of a counselor to provide counseling services at a cost of $1.3 million without a formal contract. However, there were no supporting documents to verify that employees had the counseling sessions. Herman Green, TVJ News.
All right. The operational issue was also a big issue in the report. So the Auditor General spoke, for instance, of losses that could not be accounted for, some $5.2 billion over 5 years. Says the company doesn't seem to have done the assessment to determine what caused that. So the Auditor General, in fact, went through the books and gave a breakdown of what they said were the causes, and as well the percentage that was still unaccounted for. Now, one of the things that jumped out at me, for instance, was that the report said that in trying to minimize losses of LPG during transfers, the company in 2010 bought a special system that cost nearly $500,000. Never commissioned it, and then in February this year, paid $11,000 to check it out to see if it was okay, and it wasn't okay because it's now obsolete and it can't work. So this $500,000 system has never worked and will not now ever work, and we pay another $11,000 to find that out. Joining us in studio to talk about the implications of all this, Executive Director of the Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, Jeanette Calder, Opposition Member of Parliament and a member of the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, Fitz Jackson, and Public Affairs Commentator Nadine Spence. So I guess depending on what you're looking for, you see different things. Nadine Spence, what's most alarming to you here?
I guess it's something that I've been talking about for a while, right? The appointment of boards and what boards are supposed to do and what board chairs are supposed to do, and the responsibility of a board and the minister in ensuring that the public entities, the entities that are held in the name of the people of this country, are managed properly. And what happens when the accountability frameworks and the oversight bodies fail, and who catches it? Because what I'm noticing is that minutes were not submitted, meetings were not held, reports were not submitted, and nobody noticed. Nobody at a point said, no, we can't continue to function like this. Because I imagine that in the running of any organization, there are people who will have all kinds of motives, and that it is because we set up these kinds of accountability frameworks and we have people with oversight responsibility that will ensure that what would have perhaps gone wrong is now fixed. So we don't have to wait 10, 20 years for something to be sorted out, because we have legislation, we have policy, we have frameworks, we have organizations that are set up to ensure that these things don't happen. But when these things fail, it says a lot about just our democratic framework overall. So for me, it's not just about the party, that's one thing, but it's the implication for what we do generally across both governments, across ministries, across departments. If this is something that is so stark in this case, what is happening in other places?
Yeah, Jeanette Calder, I've already seen some people saying, okay, this is going to be another 9-day wonder, and in another year or two, we're back to talking about another Auditor General report on another agency. Isn't that one of the critical concerns, that we don't seem to be making progress?
That is correct. And the question as to how we make progress, really the responsibility lies in many different spaces. For me, the seat of accountability is really the Parliament. But the media has a role to play, and that's why we're here tonight. The citizens have a role to play, and I really think the Jamaican citizens have done a reasonably good job in terms of keeping this on the front burner in social media, writing letters to the Gleaner, calling the talk shows. But the question about how do we make real progress thereon, it has to really, I'm looking back at the Parliament itself, at the entire accountability framework of government. Jamaica has done a really decent job, successive administrations, with policy documents. We have a new procurement law that was passed in 2015. Last year, we did a competency profile for boards, which is supposed to guide ministers as to how they select board members and chairmen to match the expertise with the objectives of the institutions they're a part of. We have done an amazing job with documentation. It doesn't mean that we can't tighten it up. But for me, where some of the major weaknesses lie, it really goes back to the heart of how does the Parliament handle accountability? It's on two levels. There's the calling to account, which is we get information on the how, when, where, and why things happen. And Jamaica doesn't do too badly with that, hence this report. But the next step is what do we then do with the information, which is holding to account. It is woefully inadequate there. So what I think needs to come out of this is the government charting a very clear line of sight, Dion, as to how they're going to begin to hold people accountable. We don't want to hear about this is not under criminal law. We want to hear about how can it become criminalized.
All right. Fitz Jackson, the PAAC, in fact, is a committee before which all of this started to come to light, and we'll go back to a clip from that later on. But the opposition has issued a statement calling for a forensic audit to follow up on this issue. But you're in a very tricky situation, because this spans administration. So a lot of this was going on when Una did that.
Okay, then. You know, successive administration is to make better what they found. That's how we make progress. So we can't excuse failure because it used to happen before. But on that point, we have asked for the forensic audit. Let the chips fall where they may. The only way we are going to go forward in this country is if we are prepared to call a spade and take the appropriate action where it's necessary. If we keep on resorting to what happened before we remain in the past forever.
No, but if we don't learn from what happened before, we never progress.
No, and I fully agree with you. I fully agree with you. When we came to office before, whatever was there, it is our duty to make it better,
But you
not to
didn't.
make it worse.
But you
And we have made progress. What we have
On the
seen in this,
paper, as
what,
Jeanette
no,
Powder says.
Janet will tell you, we have made progress. I've served on the PAC for a number of years, and I have seen over time where we have made some progress. This Petrojam scandal is the mother and grandmother of all scandal. Much of what came out in the Auditor General report, which I'm not completely reading, last night, the stench from it knocked me out last night when I was reading it. Because, as you indicated, much of it came to the fore.
Stench across the past 2 years or the years before that?
The extent to which what bad was there, it has gotten worse. This administration have not made it better. But you know why I'm not too surprised about nothing not being done? The Auditor General, which is a commission of Parliament, have made this report. The Contractor General made a report about the $600 million scandal, bushing. The Prime Minister says he took note of the report and nothing has come of it so far.
Hold on, I'm going to come back to this. Remember, you can tweet us. Our hashtag is TVJ All Angles. My handle is DJ Miller JA. Text me as well, 8953 999 999. Give us your first name, give us your location. We're talking about the Petrojam report. We're back in a moment.